What's going on, everybody? It's the Reformation Keegan, and I'm here today with my top 5 most underrated Superman covers in my collection to date. And I say to date because I'm always trying to find new Superman covers and new Superman stories. I do have a lot, but there's always something new to get in the comic world. And when I mean underrated, it means to me a cover or a story per se that doesn't get enough recognition, even though it should. So that's what I mean by underrated covers in this particular collection that I have. And they vary from era to era. And there are some aesthetic choices in this, like there always are in my list, for lack of a better term. But we also have ones that are kind of historically important as well. So with that being said, and again, these are in no particular order, they're just the 5 most underrated. We're going to start with the legendary Jerry Ordway with Superman number 53. From March of 1991. So even me looking at this cover, it's a very nostalgic one. I think the color scheme is absolutely fantastic. The American flag and the Star Spangles in the background looks great. And it is Memorial Day today, so happy Memorial Day to my fellow American friends. There are a lot of you, and I think this cover, no pun intended, does you justice. Because truth, justice, and the American way is really what Superman is all about. And if you've never read Action Comics 775, which is titled What's So Funny About Truth, Justice, and the American Way, I recommend that one as well. Super, super underrated comic. So I love this because like you have Superman obviously doing the salute, and Superman is Americana, even though he is from Krypton, kind of ironic. But this one screams America to me, and I'm not even American, and I know that this screams America. But like I said, the background looks great with Superman standing in the front, saluting everybody in Metropolis and everybody in the United States. Almost nobody does it better than Jerry Ordway, and you can't beat the classics. So this is why this is in the top 5. So next, we have a variant cover from issue 8 of the new Superman series that came out in 2023, and it's by Mike Diodado Jr. We have Superman. So, and you have Lex contemplating in the background, and I love this because you have Superman soaring and you have Lex contemplating. It's almost like a form of dramatic irony that this cover kind of pertains to. And you have Lex almost like a shade in the background, which I like, and Clark is kind of more filled in with colors. So it's a nice little contrast there, because anytime Superman is doing something, you always know, even if you can't see him, Lex is up to something. He's contemplating something, and he's trying to alter the life of Clark Kent. So I think that's why. But the color scheme looks great because Lex is kind of more golden copper-like in terms of color, which I think looks great. And I think that the blank background also really helps it too. So that's why it's on here. And I think that just the art itself looks fantastic. And even the shading in Superman's face, I think adds a nice little touch to it. So this one's more about the story of the cover to me. And that's why it is in this top 5. Speaking of story, this cover to me is pretty sentimental now that I look back at it, because it screams nostalgia to me, even though it is almost brand new. This is from Action Comics 1070, and it's the variant cover. We have Superman standing in the phone booth with the Max Fleischer emblem of hope, ripping the suit off, and he's going to go out and save the day. So that's why we have Action Comics 1070, the variant. And this is kind of nostalgic to me because, one, the phone booth looks very old school, which I like. It almost looks like it's from the UK in a way, which I think is really, really awesome. But what does it for me is, one, obviously the Max Fleischer logo, because I'm a huge Max Fleischer Superman fan. If you haven't watched any of those old animated episodes from the 1940s, I highly advise doing so. But also what does it for me is this kind of screams Smallville in a way, because if you have watched Smallville, especially in seasons 8 and 9, you know that the phone booth means a lot with Lois and the Blur. And that is really their line of communication. And to me, this screams Smallville. So obviously Clark facially looks a little bit older here, obviously, but it screams Smallville to me, and Smallville holds a special place in my heart, and that is one of the main reasons why I picked this cover. And plus, the art just looks great, doesn't it? I really like the dim colors, and then you have the emblem kind of more coming out like it's 3D in all of this kind of darker background. So I think that looks great, because when there's carnage around, the hope of ripping the dress shirt off and seeing that symbol, there's nothing like the feeling, especially if you're in Smallville and you know that, Clark's going to just bolt from the phone booth. There's nothing like that feeling. So that's why, just based off of pure sentiment alone, Action Comics 1070, the variant, finds a place in this top 5. So that one was more of a sentimental choice, but also the aesthetic on that one looked fantastic to me. Speaking of aesthetic, we have number 4 out of 5. We have Superman 675, illustrated by the legendary Alex Ross. And I think you guys know that a theme of mine is I'm going to probably incorporate at least one Alex Ross cover in these top 5s if I do have one, because to me, Alex Ross is the greatest comic artist of all time. Some give him criticism because his art looks too realistic and people think that comic art shouldn't look realistic. But I will say this, I can understand the sentiment of comics looking too realistic and kind of taking away from the aura, but if you are as good as Alex Ross, you can't complain. And I don't think anybody, in terms of realism and art, is as good as Alex Ross in the comic world. So that's why Alex Ross is what I call the proverbial exception to the rule. And look at this. This is absolutely incredible. Great orangish red landscape that almost kind of looks like a mix of the red and yellow sun. One hurts Clark, the other one helps Clark. And you have Superman standing, cape in the wind, just in front of Metropolis. It does not look any better than this. What a great landscape. The only Alex Ross Superman cover that I really want that I don't have, and it's expensive now because of the movie, is Superman 680 with Krypto. It's the only one I'm missing, and I might have to bite the bullet and buy it because I do have an Alex Ross collection going on. But this comic is pretty much a great consolation prize. I think this is one of the best pieces that Alex Ross has ever done, and that's saying a lot. And I just think that the aesthetic of it alone makes it worthwhile to be in this top 5. So Superman standing, or not standing, actually more hovering over Metropolis is a great sight. It's almost like when you see your hero from a distance and he's kind of looking away into the sun and you see the whole city in the background, almost like Batman sitting in front of Gotham or on top of a building in Batman the Animated Series. That's what this reminds me of. So that's why it gets a spot in this top 5. Again, Alex Ross to me, the greatest artist of all time in the comic world. So next, this one is more story-driven, but I absolutely love the art on this one. I don't know if anyone will share the same sentiment because I am a huge fan of Japanese anime and I'm a huge fan of manga art. So I think that manga art serves this one really well, obviously, because the story is very oriented around the almost like the Mega Man art. I want to call it. It is manga art, but it does look like it's Mega Man art, which I absolutely love because I'm a huge fan of, like I said, of manga and of anime, Pokemon, all that stuff. So number 1, we have Superman Smashes the Klan. This to me is one of the best Superman stories of all time that a lot of people probably have not read, but if you have not read this, I highly recommend doing so. It's a social justice themed book. It's about an Asian family coming to America in the 1940s and being discriminated against, and Clark feels the need to change that perception. Does he? I believe so. So this is a really feel-good story because nobody should be judged based on who they are coming to a new place to try and earn a better living. And Clark supports the Lee family in this, and it's absolutely amazing to see. This, to me, is Superman at its finest. Superman is all about hope, all about help, and all about giving back to what he can give for. So it's almost an emotional story in a lot of ways because you see a lot of this stuff, this discrimination still going on today. But Superman is the one entity that can help alleviate that. And I'm a huge fan of social justice themed stories and just a huge fan of social justice and advocacy for it in general. So Superman Smashes the Klan to me earns this spot based off story, but also based on the art because I think this manga style art is beautiful and it's amazing. And it's something that I hope we can see more in not just manga, but in North American comics going forward. And Superman Smashes the Klan, if you have not read it, it's 3 issues. I highly recommend doing so because this is the epitome of what Superman is. So again, that's Superman Smashes the Klan, book 1. So that's my top 5 most underrated Superman comics. Let me know what you guys think. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe, and I'll be back soon with more. I want to do maybe a top 5 underrated Batman covers, and then I want to branch out to some more characters and talk about their covers as well. So let me know what you think. If you have any video suggestions, let me know. I'm also going to be doing relatively soon a video analysis from an English major's point of view on Batman, the Court of Owls. So I read it, I'm going to analyze it, and hopefully you guys enjoy that because I had a lot of fun reading that, and I'm going to let you know my thoughts in a later video. So that's what's to come. Don't forget to like, share, and comment, and most of all, don't forget to subscribe because we are on the road to 500 subscribers. I'd like to hit 1,000 maybe by the end of the year. That would be awesome. But I also want to become a YouTube partner, and I need 3,000 watch hours to get there. So the watch hours mean everything. That's why I'm posting some of these longer videos. So hopefully we can get there and I can become a YouTube partner and I can post even better content for you going forward. Maybe with some better, some better lighting and some better theatrics involved. But I'm not about just quality or quantity. I am about consistency. So hopefully I can keep that consistency going with better quality going forward, and we can see what happens from there. So I appreciate it. Thank you for watching. I'll be back with more.